Joe Nibala says, there have been almost as many different Blade Runner cuts as there are meatloaf recipes. Do you have a preferred cut and why? So that first, what was called the compromise cut, the one that showed around the country in like 92, that's the first alternative Blade Runner cut I saw. And I have great affection for it. It doesn't have Vangelis' score. It's got a totally different title sequence. There's a lot that's different about it. In fact, I mean, where Vangelis, with One More Kiss, Dear, Vangelis wrote a perfect simulacrum of an Ink Spots song. In the compromise cut, it's an actual Ink Spots song. When Deckard's getting the bottle of liquor, I think, instead of One More Kiss, Dear, you're literally hearing I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, which is effectively what One More Kiss, Dear is. So I have seen every one of the cuts that was released to theaters because California got them all, right? Like they showed up here. And my favorite cut is Ridley Scott's his last one, the Ultimate Director's Cut. I love it. I love that cut. I love the lack of narration. In fact, the lack of narration in Ridley Scott's final director's cut made it really clear to me how much we shut our brains off when someone's talking at us in a movie. Because, I mean, just do it as an experiment. Watch one of the cityscape sequences with Deckard talking and watch it without him talking. When he's talking, you're thinking about what he's saying. And that is, then part of your brain is like processing that. Meanwhile, there's all this beautiful cityscape stuff going on. I just felt like when I went to the Opera House Theater, when that Ridley Scott's final director's cut came out, they played it at the San Francisco Opera House Theater down at the Embarcadero, and I went down and saw it. And I remember feeling like I have seen these cityscape sequences hundreds of times, and seeing them in a theater without narration, it felt like I was seeing them for the first time. It felt like I was seeing shots from a brand new movie I didn't know. That was really cool. Yeah, that's my favorite one. And it is still clunky. I still think it is a little clunky, but then many of my favorite things are clunky. I talk all the time about how much I love Raymond Chandler's work, and his plots are, the gears of his plots grind very noisily at times, but that turns out not to matter. I mean, yeah. I mean, that scene in which Deckard goes to interrogate the snake salesman. It still doesn't work. It's still the ADR and all that. It just still doesn't quite. Still feels like people are trying to hold this thing together with duct tape and popsicle sticks, and yet it still totally does work. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Joe Nibala also had this second part to his question, which is important to answer. 2039 notwithstanding, is Deckard a replicant or not? Deckard is totally a replicant. We figured it out. Picture me, 19 years old in New York City. It's 1986. It's 85, 86. And New York is lousy with rep house theaters. There's the Thalia, and there's the Waverly, and there's the 8th Street Playhouse, and Opera Plaza. There's all these different wonderful theaters. And Blade Runner is playing somewhere like every 3 months. And my best friends, Davey and Lomi, take me to see Blade Runner in, I think, early 1986. And it changes my life. And we begin to debate about it and obsess over it and endlessly discuss it. And at some point, as we started discussing it, we realized that if Terrell is like the richest guy on earth, and every now and then, the thing that is the basis of his wealth, which is these artificial humans, if they go wrong from time to time, is he really going to go to LAPD to M. Emmett Walsh's police character and be like, can you please solve this very complicated problem for rich old me? No. Not at all. There's no reality in which the richest guy on a rapidly declining Earth would redound to trusting M. Emmett Walsh's captain character. Just no way. He would make his own. He would be building his own infrastructure for taking care of his problems. That's totally clear to me from a world building standpoint. But let's talk about the film language itself. You see Deckard endure a lot of abuse. I've been waiting to do this one. You see Deckard endure a lot of abuse throughout the film. Leon beats him up. How long do I live? 4 years, right? But I submit you don't see Deckard endure a lot of pain in the scene where Leon beats the crap out of him. I submit you don't see him endure a lot of pain when Zora's beating the crap out of him. You see him scared, you see him compromised, but you don't see him going, ow, 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 ow. There's none of that. In fact, the first time you see Deckard experience pain is when he drives the nail through his palm to keep his body from deteriorating, which is, by the way, also the first time, Deckard's tying his fingers together. It's Batty who's driving the nail to keep his body from deteriorating. Freudian slip. But you see both of those sequences at the same time. So the first time you see Deckard experience pain, which is after Batty's broken his fingers and Deckard's resetting them and tying them up, he screams. At that same moment, Batty is literally stigmatizing himself. He's pushing a nail through his palm. Could the imagery be any clearer about his Christ-like figure in the film and its connection to Deckard? Because they're both experiencing a pain with their hands. Ridley Scott is making it really clear the direct connection between these two characters, in my humble opinion. So we concluded a long time ago that Deckard was by necessity a replicant, and it actually makes the story a much more interesting allegory about otherness, about what it is to be who and what we are, about the illusion of self, and about, it is a religious allegory, it's a racial allegory, it's a societal allegory. Absolutely. I think there's tons of wonderful stuff to unpack in Blade Runner, and it makes it much more interesting if Deckard is a replicant. He discovers the other in himself. I like that. I like that story. That one resonates with me. Elliot Thomas wants to know, do you have a favorite prop from 2049? Mine personally is Sapper Morton's helmet. I agree. Sapper Morton's helmet is a beauty. There is a Replica Props Forum member whose name escapes me right now who did a gorgeous build of it, 3D printed and assembled. It's a lovely piece. And actually, I also feel a real connection with that because when Norm and Joey and I visited the set of 2049 in Budapest, Sapper Morton's farm was the main location. We got to kind of wander around without any supervision, and it was just awesome. All those greenhouses were there. The white tree held up by cables was all there. Outdoors, we got to wander around all of that. So I feel like I know that space. His apartment, his house was also there, but the interior of his house was shot elsewhere. So they opened the door of the outdoor set, and then they showed up on a set that was indoors. A favorite 2049 prop. I love the spinners. I really, really like the spinners in 2049. I love what do they call the device that he sits in front of to get his recalibration? That eye that he stares at while he's, his base levels are being determined, whatever. They never really explain it, but that's awesome. I like that thing, but that's not what is it? The production design and the prop design, obviously I got to get up close and personal with many of these pieces on set. It's just lovely in that film, and it's highly consistent. The hardest kind of prop work to do is when you have to make something that looks like a genuine product in a future world. So Harlocker's team, when they made those little remotes for Ana de Armas's character, up close, those looked every bit like a Bang & Olufsen kind of remote from the store that probably cost $1,500, But am I forgetting some specific prop from 2049 that I'm not thinking of? Sapper Morton's whole persuasion, the helmet and the neck brace, comes really close to one of my favorite props as well. Deckard's blaster, man, it's really hard to undo that one. And Kay's blaster, I still don't have the Kay's blaster of my dreams, where it's got the you know, the little moving solenoid here and the little jewel light here. This one's got great fidelity to the original, but it's missing those aspects. The horse, that horse, the little horse that Kay's character goes and finds wrapped in the oilcloth in the furnace. NECA, the prop company, made a fantastic replica of that little horse with the date scribed in its base. It's a terrific piece. And those little things that have got to carry a whole bunch of story with them. Somebody carved this, somebody carved the date. That's where Ridley Scott's team, excuse me, it's Denis Villeneuve. At the same time, Ridley is one of the producers. That is one of those cases where production just did exactly the right thing for the right piece at the right time. Like that little carved horse. So I've got one on my shelf and I love it. I love it. It's very rare that I buy an off-the-shelf prop replica that needs nothing. And that NECA horse definitely suffices. Oh, I'm so sorry. No. It's Kay's coat. That's without a doubt my favorite part of Blade Runner 2049 is Kay's freaking weird ass coat with no bilateral symmetry whatsoever. I have a fantastic replica that I had made a couple years ago. I should do a show and tell and explain to you exactly how it got made. Yeah, that will be a show and tell that I will do. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching that entire video. If you would like to support Tested even further, well, I'm here to tell you that you could become a member. If you follow the links below, you'll see there are several tiers of membership depending on how much you'd like to pay and how much access you would like to me and the Tested team. And membership comes, as always, with some excellent benefits, including questions that I'll answer in live streams. The questions have been so amazing, and exclusive videos and exclusive content. Follow the links below, and we will see you next time.